Hello and welcome to GG Weekend Watch with myself, Kate Tracey, alongside Dave Young and Andrew Mount to look ahead to something for everyone this weekend in terms of the racing. We've got Kempton, Newcastle and Southwell, not Southwell, on the all-weather as well. So definitely something for everyone. But we've got something that everyone is going to enjoy next week. You have to stay tuned for this. So really special in store. So make sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications as well so you do not miss it when we upload a very special show that we have to bring you next week. Right, and hopefully the lads can continue the good form as well, because they were in really good form last week. Andrew kicked things off nicely with a winning nap of Golden Ace, who defied an early drift, then was well backed and won nicely, showing real class to pull away in the finish. Dave made it a double then for the winning naps with the changing man. He actually got his head in front. Dave kept the faith, and rightly so, then taking it past field in the Reynoldstown with an SP of 7-2. Alcibelli, very convincing winner at 11-4 in the middle distance handicap at Ascot for Andrew and the lads. Definitely weren't done there, because both tipped up Victorino in the Swinley chase. He rallied back to win, quite literally on the nod at 7-2. So 7 races, as I say, that we've got to look forward to, and a real mixed bag to go at as well. Right, Kempton, the 150, the Pendle Novices Chase, Grade 2 contest, 5-year-olds and over 2 mile 4.5 furlongs. Dave, who'd you like?
Well, yeah, thanks for coming to me, because it's the jump stuff. This looks like quite a tidy little race, to be honest with you. We've got 5 of the 6 runners rated in the 140s. There's 3 of them carrying a £5 penalty. Of course, we saw Rubaud run behind Loda Sud only a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? On slower than ideal ground for him, but he did sort of get towards Loda Sud towards the end of it, didn't he? And it's a race that Paul Nicholls has done quite well in. So I think the market order makes sense with him at the top of the market, and then Imperial Saint in behind, because Imperial Saint will like the quicker ground as well, and he is like proven at this trip. That's the question mark, of course, about Rubaud, isn't it? The fact that he's been exclusively kept to 2 miles by Paul Nicholls, and he's done that for quite a long time as well. And considering Paul Nicholls is the type of man that we associate with everything's going to make a Gold Cup horse in the future, the fact they've not stepped up in trip yet is a bit of a, I guess it's got to be a bit of a question mark, hasn't it? He has got a full brother, though, Francine. I know this horse because I really liked a horse 6-shooter, and this Francine beat him over 2 miles 6. But that brother loved heavy ground, and we know that Rubaud doesn't do that. He prefers it when it's a little bit quicker. So just because there's, I like to look at the pedigree to see if we can find reasons why horses might stay or might handle the ground and stuff. But sometimes you can just get siblings that are like completely different to each other. So I'd hold a bit of confidence that there's not that much rain about that Rubaud would get the trip. The fact that he's 13-8, though, does temper sort of all enthusiasm of getting really excited about taking the chance of him. But the thing is, I'd say that's the only question mark about him. With some of the other horses in here, I would question if they're actually good enough to beat Rubaud on a go-in day, especially at a track like Kempton that will be quick enough for him. Nicholls' horses obviously are coming like a bit, I say more right, but they're coming a bit better this time of year. He's had a nice confidence boosting win last weekend with Pic Dory. So I do think Rubaud is the rightful favourite. I do think he's the one that I'll be siding with in here. I want to give a tiny mention to Baloo, the rank outsider of the field, because his first run of the season, when Andrew tipped him up at Ascot, Andrew gave the forecast that day to beat Bad. And I know Bad's a bit of a roguey type horse, but he's now gone up significantly in the weights. He's up to 130, I think, himself now. Baloo was giving him £7 that day. So I just think at 25-1, the fact that they've run him over 3 miles the last twice and he's just not been at the races, this would be a bit of a recovery mission. But if he is enjoying himself at the faster pace again, he might outrun his odds at 25-1. But Rubaud does look a solid favourite for all that he might be a little bit short.
Yeah, the case is made then for both ends of the market. Rubaud, the favourite, and Baloo, the outsider of the field in this field of 6 for Dave. But Rubaud, difficult to beat, Andrew.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just watching John Joe O'Neill go around the swamp of the inside at Lingfield. Oh dear, terrible. Yeah, I like the Nicholls angle, the Pendle Novices Chase. He's had 24 runners in this contest in the this century. The first 4 of those got beat, but he's won with 12 of his last 20. It's well above expectations based on their prices. That's certainly an encouraging angle. And when he was 9-4 earlier this week, I did think about taking the chance and didn't. And of course, needless to say, he's a lot shorter now. The other one I thought of interest was Mark of Gold, who of course won the opening 2 mile 5 furlong handicap hurdle on this card for the last 2 years. He was pitched straight into the deep end for his chase debut in class Grade 2 company at Ascot caused a bit of a shock that day, beating Personal Ambition. A bit disappointed behind Handstands at Sandown last time, but that, of course, was in Grade 1 company. So this represents a slight ease in grade. Better ground will suit. He loves the track. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't put you off sort of playing Mark of Gold each way or without the favourite. But I'll go Rubaud and Custard over Mark of Gold.
Over Mark of Gold, who is not the outsider of the field because that goes to Baloo, but second off outsider of the field. Then for Andrew as the each way alternative or the without, but Rubaud going to be tricky to beat then in that Grade 2 opener. Right, we move up to Newcastle now for the 210, the Ida handicap chase, 5-year-olds and over 4 mile 1. Now I've got 6 to on the field in this one. Oh my goodness me! So my cat's in a fight outside. So Andrew, I'll leave it with you.
With another cat or the postman. Well, right, we're going to the Ida. 9-year-olds got a really good record in this race in recent years. They've won 7 of the last 10 renewals from 46 runners, profit of £27.50. 9-year-olds ridden patiently, a 7 from 19 in this race in the last 10 years, a profit of £54.50. Now, never know how to say this one. Is it
Gaborio, yeah.
Gaborio, that's the one.
Gaborio.
Yeah, now we know he's a bit of a sort of strong travelling ponce at times. He sort of travels our trade short in running and doesn't always go through with it. But I thought around about 16 to 1, he wasn't the worst each way, given that his running style is usually favoured in this. Lord Roco was quite interesting as well at a big price. He's had 5 goes left-handed over fences, 4 seconds and a third. I thought he could get in the frame. And Sporting Ace quite impressed me when scoring narrowly at Lingfield last time because he raced closer to the inside rail than ideal. That was a weird old Lingfield meeting where on the chase course, everything that was tracking very, very wide was winning. That sort of made me a little bit disappointed with Passing Well, who's only 10 to 1 here because he had the better ground, but he still couldn't beat Sporting Ace. Others to mention, last year's winner, Angler's Crag, who's slowly been running into form this term, caught the eye over the wrong trip at Market Raising, 2 miles 5 and a bit, plugging on. Then he ran 4th in that Stairs race at Musselburgh, and he's obviously been laid out for this again. Egbert I didn't like, he's best on flat tracks, and I cannot understand for the life of me why O'Connell is favourite for this. He's got to go right-handed. I think he's only had 2 runs in the last sort of few years left-handed tracks. He fell in the first of them and got well beaten in the next. So I'm amazed that they're running him left-handed. I'm amazed that he's 6 to 1 favourite. Absolute madness. Yeah, if you don't talk to me for a month if he does win. So yeah, I think that the play here is going for the 9-year-old angle, going for the patient ride. And I think, given his sort of course form as well, I'll go Lord Roco each way. He's right about 20 to 1, I think. Stepping up in trip, probably won't win, but could plug on into 2nd or 3rd again.
Yeah, big price as well. Then I've got 25s here as a top price for Lord Roco in this one as well. But yeah, we've got the social clip ready to go anyway then for that on O'Connell, but we like punchiness as always. Good news on the cat front. I managed to get to her in time and she's now in and feeling very sorry for herself. So if you heard any screaming through that, that's what that was, cat fight. Dave, ever the professional that I am, though, with nothing else going on in the background. More importantly, you are the professional. Who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, all professionals a brave shout, to be fair. It's funny with Andrew as well, like in a good way. O'Connell, he tipped up last time, didn't he? Was right keen on him for Sandown, got the job done. And then in this instance, rightly so, is against him from going this right way round. I think that's probably why he's the price that he is, isn't he? Like you say, the 9-year-old angle's good in here, ticks that box, and he was a good winner last time out. So it's probably lazy odds compiling in it, but this is a race that's been priced up for a little while now. I haven't really been able to find too many clues from the market in that, but 9 of the last 10 winners were priced 12 to 1 or shorter or sent off at 12 to 1 or shorter. So I don't think there's going to be, I mean, there always could be, couldn't there? But I wouldn't imagine there'd be a massive shock in here. The ones that did win, like last time out, O'Connell, I think was like, the rise is probably too much, even if he was going the right way around. Collector's Item won the Sussex National one at Plumpton, but he beat Katati Dorian. It was a standing start in the end. He got first run on the field to get the lead. Katati Dorian didn't get his position, and while Collector's Item was still good value for the win, I think he got a little bit lucky that day. I don't necessarily see him backing it up now, so he's second favourite in here. Angler's Crag isn't as good as he was last year on figures that he's done, so as much as he did win it last year, maybe he's just not going to be able to get it done this time round. Passing Well, that Andrew was I guess not necessarily knocking, but was like less impressed with last time out, given the fact that Sporting Ace did have the worst ground and did get it done. I thought Parsonwell actually did run all right, to be fair. Like first time running up to like a real extreme trip, it was on really bad ground as well. Thought he was given a pretty good ride. He went quite short in running, but I don't know. I don't think he like dodged it or not, because the winner Sporting Ace has worn headgear loads of times, and then last time wasn't wearing it. So maybe he was just toying with him a little bit. But he did rally again back towards the line. So I thought of the horses that ran well recently that got a bit of a rise, maybe Passing Well was the one that I'd want to side with. But wouldn't be a bullish opinion, but I would say that Passing Well is probably better than the bare result of last time, and maybe was a little bit unlucky.
You do love a horse to forgive on the back of a whole load of place efforts. So it came good for you last week, though, didn't it, with the change in man? So Passing Well, then potentially this time around, I see 10 to 1 about him as well for the Ida. Right, we're going to go back to Kempton now for the 225, the Grade 2 Adonis Juvenile Hurdle. 4-year-olds over 2 miles. Mondo Man, a lot has been made of him in the last few days there for Gary Moore, and the fact that he was just too keen last time out behind Lalamba, and they've mixed things up a little bit with him in terms of his tack adjustments and everything, Dave. So it will be interesting, but you with or against?
Yeah, well, it's when you touch on that with like the adjustments that are made with the horse, it's frustrating when you don't get to see these things disclosed on a horse, because you get the Australian noseband. I think they've talked about using the cross noseband, where they are used to make a horse that's pretty keen not be so keen, whereas we're used to just seeing a jockey or a trainer, slapping a hood on them. So when it doesn't get marked, it is frustrating. But that's the thing, they didn't expect Mondo Man to be as keen as he was at Ascot. He did get slapped up by Lalamba. There's no way of putting it any other way. And Lalamba was obviously giving him quite a bit of weight, but he definitely didn't finish that race like looking like a horse that wasn't a very good horse. So he definitely deserves to be favourite. To be as keen as he was, and the fact that there's something you could put your finger on to say, okay, this is something they weren't as aware of, but now they've done something to fix it, would give you every reason to forgive his last run. But there's a few in here that you'd have to be quite brave to forgive their last runs, even though I'm that kind of person. OPEC was really bad at Chepstow. I'm well against that horse in here. Don't think it's good enough. Again, that's another clip we can cut up, isn't it? Mambo number 5 would have to run loads better than last time out, and I just don't really see it. Sauvignon's the interesting one, because we talked about this race when we did Trials Day. I think he has to go right-handed. He jumped right-handed at the first at Cheltenham, but he was a dirty, filthy, like suspicious drifter close to the off, wasn't he? And it may just be that the right judges knew that he was going the wrong way, but it may have been that it was a prep for Paul Nicholls to run him in that, just get some gas out of him in a view to come to this race, in a race that Paul Nicholls has targeted in the past. Thought he was too big a price at 9 to 1, to be honest, and I think he's that price because he did drift so much last time out. So it would be more of a sporting bet in here that I'd have a go on Sauvignon, but it might be that Mondo Man to beat Sauvignon could be the bet to play, because I do expect that Mondo Man will win this race.
Yeah, we'll show better then, but Sauvignon is certainly a nice price. So all the same, whichever way you play it, factoring him in. But yeah, it is interesting, Andrew, isn't it? That I can't exactly remember what they're going to change about him. I wouldn't have been surprised if they did stick the hood on him, but I heard Gary Moore saying something about whether it was a new bit or attack adjustment, but something to put pressure on the pole of his head then. But these aren't the kind of things that, like say, are disclosed. And I mean, the trainers have no reason to, because it's not, the BHA don't make them. But a change of bit or tack equipment can be just as important as, say, switching to blinkers or a hood, though. But Mondo Man, are you expecting better from him?
Yeah, it was interesting in that interview with Gary Moore with Nick Luck the other day on his podcast, basically saying that it surprised him that he was so keen at Ascot, because he doesn't do that at home. So he did talk about potentially putting a hood on. He's not been declared with a hood. Obviously, having cost £500,000 and running so well in group company on the flats, the potential is there. But do you want to pay a short price to find out if everything's been fixed ready for this? I mean, he could still pull like a train and win in this field, I think. But as Dave says, Sauvignon, who drew a blanc at
Nice.
first time out. He did go out to his right at the first. Maybe he'll prove better this way around. And even the Ben Pauling runner as well. That one had excuses first time out, pulled like stink, went pitched straight into Grade 2 company behind East India Dock for his British debut. Maybe they'll give him his head. We've seen so often small fields at Kempton over hurdles, front runners just go out and prove hard to catch. And it's not impossible that he could run some sort of race. But I didn't want to have a bet in the race. It was just one that, sadly, a lot of the interest is gone because of the absence of the Nicholls pair. An interesting race, but no more than that.
And that was me thinking St. Pancras pulling like a train was going to be the only pun we could
Oh,
possibly get out of this one. Was
well,
the
actually,
only
actually
pun.
on the subject of St Pancras, I thought he was flattered last time at Musselburgh because in that contest you had to. Well, they went too hard up front, and the winner, the third and fourth, have come from off the pace. I think it was the runner-up Solar Drive that Luke the one to side with next time out. So yeah, I'll be against St Pancras here. Certainly within the without market, that could be the way to play the race. Actually.
There you go, then. That's the way to play him. But puns are plenty, all the same, then, in the Adonis. Right, we're going to switch codes now. We're going to go to the flat and to the all-weather at Southwell, not Southwell. 240, the Heaver Sprint Stakes listed contest, 4-year-olds and over 5 furlongs. Our Marshman is heading the way. And again, we expected to see all of these horses pretty much rocking up here, Andrew, and we are getting the vast majority of them.
Yeah, this is a good race. Marshman, of course, has won 2 from 2 since returning from wind surgery. Both of those coming over. A gelded and wind surgery. Both of those coming in over 6 furlongs. One of them on a straight track. He's over a straight 5 here. The cut back to bare 5 is a bit of a worry, though. He's won over 5.5 at Chantilly, but over 5 furlongs, he's 0 from 4. I mean, draw-wise, over 5 furlongs in the straight course at Southwell this winter, early pace has been more important than the draw, but I'm still not hugely thrilled by stall 1 for him. He could be a little bit isolated towards that far side. So I prefer the claims of last year's winner, Diligent Harry, who I did put up as a bet in my column at Lingfield last time over 6 behind Marshman. I was expecting him to sort of stay wide off the dead rail, thinking that stall 3 or 5 and allow him to do that. But Richard Kingscote, thank God he's gone to Hong Kong, as he just took him straight to the swamp on the inside rail. And Marshman, who I thought would be disadvantaged by stall 1, got off the fence and won quite comfortably. So, having won the race last year, after running in that same Lingfield race, stall 8, got quite happy with that. I thought Diligent Harry could bounce back under William Buick this time.
Yeah, William Buick taking up the ride this time around, then Diligent Harry at 3-1 for Andrew. Dave.
Yeah, Diligent Harry's definitely one that's got a proper chance in here. I was looking at the renewals of this one for a few other bits, but I just noticed the age stuff that like all of the last 10 winners were aged 6 or younger. That does cut this field up quite a bit because most of the runners are 7 or older. But my angle into this was a bit more to do with last time out winners and horses that had run fairly recently. So Diligent Harry didn't win last time out. Like Andrew said, there were probably excuses for him, but you've got Marshman and Valiant Force that come in here having won last time out and have run inside 30 days. You'd have found quite a few winners from that. If you just looked at 4-year-olds for that measure, though, you'd have got 5 winners from 11. That's 175% return on investment. That's a bit of my bag. So I quite like Valiant Force over Marshman in here. He is a 5 furlong winner as well, so that's what Andrew's touched on with the distances and the pace angles that can come at like this particular track. I think that Valiant Force having the win over 5 furlong, despite the fact he's a 4-year-old and he will get further, like a little bit further in time, I think he's got like another box that's been ticked in there. He has got £8 to find on official ratings with Diligent Harry, but I do think what Diligent Harry did at Lingfield last time, for all that there might be excuses, was at least £10 worse than he did last year before coming to win this race. So I think Valiant Force coming in here on winning form, not necessarily on like a career peak at the moment, but I feel like it was a nice setup for him coming into here. I think he's been probably lined up for this particular race. He's got a reasonable record at 5 furlong. It's 2 wins from 4 tries at it. I thought of the price is 7-1, especially when you can get each way money about that one. He just looked the way to play the race.
Yeah, 7-1, a nice price as well then to boot to back up that success from last time out. Right, that was the listed Heaver Sprint Stakes. We're going to go back to the jumpers now. The 3 o'clock at Kempton, the Grade 2 Dovecote Novices Hurdle, 4-year-olds and over 2 miles. Miami Magic heading the way in this one at 15-8 here, Dave.
Yeah, well, I started doing my prep for the ITV races on this race, and I spent ages on it as well. It's quite a juicy one to get stuck into. Lots of good horses in here. They're not all going to be. I mean, it's a grade 2. This obviously this is a target for them to go for now. But there's going to be horses in here that obviously only one horse can win it. But I think over the next few months, are going to be very interesting for some handicaps. So it's a deep enough field, this one. Royce is a horse at the start of the season I think everyone was getting a bit excited about, but he's from the family of Ferns. Like one of my mates was mentioning that to me about maybe his constitution might show a bit of that, and he did do that first time up when he looked like he dogged it a little bit. So he has got loads of ability, but I was sort of trying to go against him. The few that are bigger priced, Starcross Lover, Andershan, Roadless Travelled and Blue Singer, I don't think are good enough to win this one. So it is just the front three of the market that I was left with when I was trying to whittle it down. It's hard to really poo-poo any of them. Tripoli Fly has been brought along quite nicely by Fergal O'Brien. The Scottish Supreme that he won looks like an absolute target. And I'm not saying that this is an afterthought, but I think that was the main aim. And then after he's gone and won that race, it's a stepping stone to decide where you go after. I think they're probably looking at going to go here and then probably going to Aintree after, given he ran so well in the bumper there last year. But he is carrying a £5 penalty for the fact that he got that win. Celtic Dino's the same. He's got a £5 penalty for his Ascot win where he had Joyous in behind. Even the second that was behind him that day has come out and done bits since. So I think the form of Celtic Dino, especially in depth, looks quite good. But they have got to give some weight to Miami Magic in here, who, for all we couldn't really see what was going on at Aintree, when they turned into the home straight, he was travelling all over Potter's Charm, and they went into the fog. I bet Potter's Charm. I didn't expect to come out the other side, think or seeing Potter's Charm win the race, but he did. Sam Twiston Davis was giving him a nice full ride all the way through to the finish, like he didn't want to let that horse get beat. And there wasn't anything wrong that Charlie Hammond did on Miami Magic, but I just mean that Potter's Charm we know is a very good horse, and he had to be 100% to his best to go and beat Miami Magic. And we've seen that he flopped a little bit after, so maybe that race took a bit too much out of him. But Miami Magic, I thought before that with his course and distance win, looked like a genuine graded animal. And then you look at Stuart Edmonds as well. I know lots of trainers get poo-pooed for their abilities and things like that, but Stuart Edmonds is a hell of a shrewd target trainer as well. He's when he's had horses that are priced 3 to 1 or shorter in non-handicaps, he's got about a 14% return on investment, but he's had lots of winners in there. He's got a 50% strike rate with favourites that are shorter than 3 to 1 in non-handicaps, and over an 80% play strike rate in there as well. So for all that Miami Magic is a favourite at 15 to 8, if he was trained by any other yard, I think he'd be like a 5 to 4, 6 to 4 poke for this. So I think he represents some good value. Course and distance win was very good here on his penultimate start, and I still think his Aintree run, for all that it was in defeat, is better than what anything else in this race has done.
Yeah, Miami Magic then with that course and distance win to his name. You would like to see probably better form at present, I guess, from Stuart Evans yard. But
no,
yeah,
they had a winner the other day, didn't they? Trainer form's rubbish. If you've got a graded horse like this and then you've got 50 to 1.
You sound like Daryl Carter.
I know, I was going to say, I was literally just going to say, who does he sound like in this one? But
even when they close the yard because there's the virus and they say
scrap it. To be fair, I'm definitely buy into the Saturday horses. Don't tend to fit in with the training mold as such then. But yeah, no, Miami Magic, they're heading the way here. Fair play to Charlie Hammond for managing to get the ride then on this lad. Andrew, who do you like?
I think it's really difficult to be adamant about who's going to win this because there's so much pace on offer, assuming everybody is ridden as they were last time out. Miami Magic can make the running. I think he'll be suited by coming back to right-handed track and on better ground. Starcross Lover. Andershan's 2 from 2 here at Kempton and made all last time out. Celtic Dino can make the running. Royce can make the running. So there is a possibility of a pace burn up here. I like Celtic Dino, assuming that the ground is a lot better than it was at Aintree. I do worry about, I mean, they're calling it good to soft in places, I think, at Kempton. There's about 7 or 8 mil forecast on Friday night. Given how wet it's been all winter and the soggy state some of our tracks are in as well, I'm not convinced it's going to be that quick. But yeah, Celtic Dino, if I knew he was going to sort of sit just in behind the leaders rather than try to take them on, I thought he'd be the pick for last year's winning yard because he won it with a lump sum, who went on to run second in the big handicap hurdle at Newbury the other week under top weight. But I'm reluctantly cast aside Celtic Dino in favour of Tripoli Fly because I know that, well, I assume that he's going to be ridden patiently. So after winning that Lingfield bumper on the poly track, he's gone straight into a Grade 2 bumper at Aintree, finished second of 18 under a patient ride, second to Duran-Con on his hurdling debut at Chepstow, and then 2 wide margin wins, right-handed sharp tracks by a combined margin of 40 lengths. You know what's going to happen. He's Fergal O'Brien. He's going to be ridden patiently. He's going to come wide around the outside, which if there is a pace burn up, could be where the better ground is. And so I'll just go Tripoli Flyer. But I'm probably going to be reserve the right to be gutted if Celtic Dino wins.
Yeah, reserve the right to, like you say, then for considering last year's race as well. But Tripoli Fly currently at 7-2, then in at that grade 2 Dovecote Novices Hurdle. Right, back to Southwell again now for the 3:15. The Group 3 Winter Derby Stakes, 4-year-olds and over a mile 3. Royal Champion is the one who is heading the way in this one. But again, don't have a massive field to go at, Andrew. But who took your eye?
Yeah, I've already fallen out of love with this race since they switched it from Lingfield. It's not a particularly exciting contest. Royal Champion, obvious chance after probably winning the hard way at Lingfield. Not easy to make all race win from the front end at over 10 furlongs there. Did so last time out, but he's priced accordingly. The one that was interesting at a bigger price is Champagne Prince, given the balance of his all-weather form. 6 goes on the all-weather, 5 wins. The defeat was excusable. He was up with the pace when they just gone way too hard up front. The winner, the third, the fourth have come from well back, and he's done really well to finish second. He's beaten the next prominent racer by 4 lengths that day. So at the prices, despite having a bit to do at the weights, I'll go Champagne Prince over Royal Champion.
At 8-1, yeah, he's actually been pushed out as well then from that opening price as well. But another course and distance winner in here for Champagne Prince for Andrew. Dave.
Yeah, it's always comforting to agree with Andrew on a race. He's gone for he's gone for the classic flat system, and he just back what William Blewick's riding. But Champagne Prince was like I think much better than the bare result of his course and distance win last time out. He had loads in hand at the finish there as well. The thing with Royal Champion I'm a little bit concerned about is I'm sure he could be okay, but this used to be over 1 mile 2, didn't it? Now it's over 1 mile 3. I think the trip might just about get him. Military Academy, I do quite like as a horse. I don't like the fact he's been gelded and they've chucked cheap pieces on first time. Gosden's got a pretty bad record with first time cheap pieces in group races, not especially Group 3s, but also in Group 3s as well. So I was against.
He's got a pretty bad record with everything nowadays, isn't he? It's paid, he's had his name on the licence.
That's it. But the thing that's annoyed me with this race, just have a little rant, is that 7 runners, and in the prices as well, there's only 4 that can win this, isn't there? It's 50 to 1 bar. So probably the 2 places they're not being horribly horrible. But if we just had 1 more runner, it could have been 3 places each way. And then you'd look at Champagne Prince and think you could have a right good go on him. It's just a question of whether he's maybe up to the ability of the other ones, but I think he is. The last time out run was good, and William Buick won on him on his penultimate start in a listed race. The last one very much looked like a preparation run coming into this, so I will go for Champagne Prince. I wish there was another runner so I could back him each way just to be safe, but I'm in agreement with Andrew, so there's my safety net, right?
There it is. You make a good point though on the betting there, like say 7 runners, and then the fact that 3 of them are 50 plus to 1, and so he is just the one that's kind of in that sticky middle ground, really, isn't he? Champagne Prince, that price of 8 to 1, but both of you two in agreement all the same. Right, we definitely have a good betting heat for this one. Now this is our final scheduled race. The 3:35 at Kempton is for Ladbrokes Trophy Handicap Chase, Premier Handicap, 5-year-olds and over 3 miles. A race that's had a million names over the years now, but 7-2 heading the way is Highland in this one. Lowry's Bar, we didn't get to see him last weekend. He is back then in this one, Dave. So what are you making of him now?
Well, the vet obviously felt sorry for him last week that the changing man was going to slap him up, so he said, "Come on, mate, just run next week." But it's interesting with this one because we touched on him last time for the fact that there has been comments they were talking about the Ultima for him. For all, it hasn't even been to Cheltenham, is he? But this handicap here, it's like a grand. I think it's a grand more, but yeah, it's worth more money than the Ultima is. And it's a bit sad to see that there's a few horses in here that have been basically mentioned by connections that they're going for something else. But then are they telling a few fibs? I don't know. It would look a good opportunity for Lowry's Bar, and it would look a good opportunity for him to pick up a handicap if that's what he wanted to do. But the fact that they had him in the Reynolds-Town last week would suggest that this isn't obviously their first thought. So that puts me off, but then he's a short enough price as well, isn't he? Highland's in here when Nicky Henderson said that he won't be going to Cheltenham. He had the Ultima entry. I think it was in case the ground got too slow at Kempton because they've got all eyes on him going to a Grand National, I think they have, haven't they? So he's favouring him and would have a chance on the good ground. But like Andrew said, there's a bit of rain about. There's been wet ground underneath. It may not be perfectly ideal for him. It's a hard race, this one, I think. There's horses that have had headgear that have got a reasonable record in this race as well. So not I want to just use like a loose angle just to get into a race. I was trying to find the ones that I think would be trying and the ones that I think would have targeted this. Now, Beachcomber was a very good course and distance winner at Christmas, wasn't he? First time blinkers for him. And he did sluice up off the front. I liked Golden Sun in the race that day, and he didn't really seem to go with him. He seemed to be out of pace, which has been a bit of a trace for him for a little while. But he won at the won on this card last year over 2.5 miles. You'd think he should be able to go a 3-mile gallop, even though this is a Class 1 compared to the Class 3. We couldn't really do it. Nichol's horses are in a bit better form as well. So I think he's got a bit of a chance. And like I touched on with Beachcomber, the fact that he won as easily as he did, and it was in blinkers, there is a chance that he's just still well handicapped, and they've obviously kept him back to go and win this race because it's a nice pot to go and win. So I look at them two and think Beachcomber and Golden Sun, at least in my opinion, are definitely trying. Our Power, they've talked about a tilt at Scottish National with him. He won this race a couple of years ago, didn't he? And then he's got the jockey bookings would suggest that he's the first string. Charlie Deutsch is on Katati Dory, that was second to Collector's Item, or maybe third in that race I touched on a little bit earlier. And he didn't get a good start. The standing start did him no favours. He couldn't go prominent, but I think he wants a little bit further. I did look at the stats of Charlie Deutsch riding for Sam Thomas, and they speak very favourably. I think it's like a 92% return on investment, 7 winners from 23 runners for Sam Thomas that are priced 10 to 1 or under. But every single one of those 7 winners was Sam Thomas's only horse in the race. So it wasn't the case that he was like second string or anything like that. So I like Katati Dory. He'd be the one, like Andrew mentioned earlier with Celtic Dino. It'd be annoying if they went and won. Katati Dory would be that for me in this race, but I couldn't put him up. I feel like it's a safe option, but I'll go for Beachcomber and Golden Sun. I'll just have a win dart on each of them because I think that race from Christmas is going to hopefully going to work out well in the context of this race.
Beachcomber 8 to 1, Golden Sun at 14s, Katati Dory is at 10s there as well, which will be the one that you'll be kicking yourself at if he goes and wins. But a couple of win darts then for Dave. Andrew, you're allowed 2 as well.
Oh, good. Might need them. Interesting race, this one. Favourites haven't got the greatest record, including joint and co-favourites, 0 from 13 in the past 10 years, with only 2 placed. And last time out winners, just 1 from 30 in the last 10 years, minus £23.50. Horses who ran second or third last time out done really well, 7 from 37, a profit of £45.50. Highland, I think this is the wrong time of year for him. All his wins have come between March and mid-November, all bar one of them sort of March to October. He tends to be a sort of spring, summer, early autumn horse. Last win came on good ground. He wouldn't want any rain. It's not been a good race for Henderson's. It's 7-2. You can leave that. Larry's Bar, this is an afterthought after he missed the Reynoldstown last week with a vet certificate. Was it a stone bruise or something like that, I think. So there's obviously a worry that he's not going to be 100% here. Beachcomber, you've got to ignore those last time out stats, but he does his last 4 runs right-handed in Britain, 3 wins and a second to tighten our belts at Exeter. And I looked at John. He had the first time blinkers on when sluicing up here last time out. And John Joe's winners in first-time blinkers have a fairly good record when bidding to follow up, so I certainly wouldn't put you off that one. Our Power is older than most winners, but as Dave says, got previous in the race, and certainly sort of stick him in your play spot. And Katati Dory as well, with another one out on the shortlist. But I didn't like Charlie Uberales. He's got to go left-handed. But the interesting one for me was Heltenham for Dan Skelton. Now, Heltenham not running at Cheltenham, but running at Kempton. He's a funny old sort, this one, because he tends to go out to his right, but he generally runs left-handed. Now, we saw with like J-Lo winning from Venetia Williams the other week, that horses who have a tendency to go right can get away with it in Newbury, wide open galloping track, 2 miles in circumference. The right-handed tendency becomes more pronounced on sharper left-handed tracks. So you look at Heltenham's form. He ran right-handed here last year at this meeting, finished second to Golden Sun in the 2.5 handicap chase, only got beaten half a length. Then he won twice at Newbury. So this is obviously his time of year. And then since then, he's just been campaigned on left-handed tracks. So I think going right-handed could bring more improvement from him. He's obviously got a good record at this time of year. And he's 20 to 1. He's an 8-year-old, and he's from a target trainer who might well have laid this one out for the race. He's running off a mark of 136. And I still think there could be more to come from Heltenham. So he'll do for me at a big price, back down to his last winning mark.
Yeah, 20 to 1 that he loves busting fences, this lad. He's keen, he's massive. Harry Scott has actually said himself previously, he scares me. But obviously wants to ride him then for this one, and that in itself is a definite note, I feel. But yeah, 20 to 1 about Heltenham. Certainly a horse with plenty of ability all the same. Right, Andrew, back to you, please. Anything from anywhere else?
I think Dave mentioned Bad earlier on. I was sort of half tempted to nap him to finish second. In the 4:10 at Kempton. He fell at Ascot last time out when looking like he might be booked for that position. And in that race, I like Blow Your Wad, who's 3 from 3 at Kempton. First run of the season, has gone well fresh in the pass. A very good horse for Tom Lacey, who's in good form after a slow start to the season. So yeah, Blow Your Wad to win, bad to finish second in the 4:10 at Kempton.
There you go then. Ways to play that 4:10 at Kempton. But yeah, it has been, hasn't he? Tom Lacey, all of a sudden, after a quiet season, is starting to really kick into gear now. Dave, anything from anywhere else?
Not from me this week.
Not at all. Dave, I'll go back to you, please, then, for your nap.
It's always a good start, isn't it? You've tried to put me off Miami Magic, which has made me feel like
No,
I should read into his mind.
not one bit. As I said, that Saturday horses, they tend to defy any sort of yard. And like I say, they did have a winner at a decent price there the other day anyway. And he is a very, very good horse. He is a very good horse.
Thank you. Well, with Kate's changing heart there for Miami Magic, I'll stick with Miami Magic. I do think, like, especially from a price perspective as well, he would be the strongest bet for the weekend. But it would be a quite enough weekend for me this weekend, I think.
I think by the tone of your voice and when I asked you that question, that would suggest as much as well. And not every single weekend can it be a really strong conviction of a nap. The last few have been a bit of a struggle, I felt, but used to with winning naps last week. So Andrew, we're looking for you to double up, please.
I'll go for Blow Your Wad in that 4:10 at Kempton.
Nicely done. Bit of recency bias there as well. Right, lads, thank you so much for all of your work. Now, I will be seeing the pair of you in person for our very special show next week. So really looking forward to that. And again, a reminder to subscribe. And so you'll get all of the notifications for when we upload that very special show next week. But lads, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Best of luck with your bets this week. And we'll speak to you again next week.